Hey there, everyone. My name is Liz Wright, and I am a professor of psychology at Northwest Vista College in San Antonio, Texas. I've been doing these videos every day just to talk about stuff that I've been reading about or seeing in the news. And I know that this week, a lot of people are going to be going back to college. So, college students, your first class may be sometime this week. It may have been sometime last week, who knows? I know my college goes back on Tuesday, hopefully, if we don't have snow, um, which we hardly ever have because we are in South Texas. But so just a couple of research-based reminders to help you start off the semester well. If this is your first semester in school, these are going to be completely useful to you. If this isn't your first semester, then they're probably good reminders of what is a good idea for us to do that maybe you have gotten out of practice with doing. So first thing we want to do is show up to class on the first day. I know it sounds crazy, right? So we want to get there early just in case. So just in case you can't find your room, just in case there's a parking issue, any of that sort of stuff. Get there early for your first day of class. And if possible, you want to sit in the front. And I know a lot of students are like, I don't want to sit in the front. I don't want to sit too close to the instructor. I don't want to sit too close to the front of the room. But the research shows that the students who sit closer to the front of the room are more likely to interact with the instructor, are more likely to ask questions of the instructor. So my suggestion is to sit at the front. And that way, maybe you won't have any trouble hearing what's going on or paying attention to what's going on either. If during that first day you have questions, you want to ask them. If any day you have questions, you want to ask them. And your instructor may give you some specifics on how to ask questions. So, for example, raise your hand or, maybe send them a message. However they want you to ask questions, if they want you to wait until the end of a section, because sometimes we build in spots for asking questions. If your instructor is doing a lecture, and then usually at the end of a small section, like 5 minutes or so, they should pause and say, okay, up until this point, does anybody have any questions? Then you can ask your questions then. So definitely ask questions. Another thing you want to do before the first day of class, if possible, if it's available, is to review your syllabus. So all instructors should be either publishing or giving out a copy of the syllabus, which is basically kind of like a contract for the course. It shows you what's going to be going on, what you're going to be learning about, how you will be evaluated, how your grade will be computed, all that sort of stuff. And these are all important things for us to know. So be sure that you have read through your syllabus. And again, if you have any questions, highlight a spot in your syllabus and write the note in the margin and ask your instructor. I start classes on Tuesday. I've already had a couple of my students, I teach online right now, and I've already had a couple of students who've read my syllabus ask me questions about it, which is fantastic. I love getting questions about my syllabus. And I know this sounds funny, I also love when students message me and say like, hey, in this section you say this and this section you say that, like, can you explain why the difference? Like, usually there's an error. And I want to hear about the errors because when you catch it, I want to fix it so that the next student to read the syllabus doesn't have the same question. Okay? So, but usually the way that we word that is important. So we don't want to send an email that says, there's an error on the syllabus. We don't want to do that. So you want to, even on the first day, you want to bring your materials. So notebook, pen. Some students take notes on laptops, and I totally get that. There is research that shows that for some students, handwritten notes are better. And so it may be just up to you in terms of how you prefer to take notes. There are some instructors that don't want you to take notes on laptops because they've read research that says that note-taking on laptops doesn't work as well as handwritten note-taking. The research there is actually kind of there's some that says handwritten notes are better. There's some that says handwritten and typed notes are both useful, depending on what you do with them afterwards, which is actually a good point. And we will talk about that in the next couple of days, because I do want to talk about strategies for being a good student in the next couple of days as well. So yeah, if you bring your laptop to class in order to take notes, there might be some instructors that say that they want you to bring a notebook, they want you to bring a pen, because they want you to take handwritten notes. So just keep in mind that might be something that happens. If you have access to your textbook beforehand, you definitely want to, scroll through it, check it out, flip through it if you've got a paper textbook. My school does all ebooks, and they're available before the class even starts, which makes it so that all of our students have access to their books, as opposed to maybe not being able to afford them, which we find useful. So if you have access to your textbooks, start reviewing them. There are some places that faculty don't use the textbook. So if you've run into that before at your school, and you have to buy your textbooks, you might want to wait until after the first day of class to make sure that the instructor is going to use the textbooks that they put on the syllabus. Because sometimes the textbooks are actually put into the syllabus by the college as opposed to the instructor, and the instructor isn't going to use it. So check with your instructor and make sure that it's the right book for the class. One thing that you could say is, on the website, it says that we're using this book. Is that the correct book? And they'll either say like, yes, that's the correct book, then we're going to be able to use it. We're going to use it, or no, don't buy that. We're not going to use it. And that's one way to kind of ask that question without sounding like, are we really going to read the book? Which does not usually go over well with faculty. What else? So we've studied the syllabus, we know the policies, we can ask questions about the policies if we have any of them. You you want to write down your instructor's name and how to contact them. I don't know how many times I've talked to students and I'll say, so who do you have for such and such class? And they're like, I don't know their name. Okay, so we want to write down our instructors' names, how to contact them, if they're on campus, how to find them. So is, email best to contact them? Is a phone number? All that sort of stuff. So have your instructor's contact information. I also suggest on the first day of class that you get the contact information, either email or cell phone number or something, of a couple of students in your class. Maybe you already know some students in your class. Thumbs up. We can exchange phone numbers. We can exchange email addresses, so that if you ever have to be out of class, then you can contact those people and say like, hey, can you send me the notes from Tuesday because I was out? Something like that. Okay. So I hope that you are excited for your first day of this new semester. I know the first day of a new semester is always sometimes exciting, sometimes a little scary, especially if like you're in a new building, you have a new instructor or something like that. Maybe you don't know what to expect, but it will all become, secondhand. We'll get used to it, and hopefully we will all have a great semester. Thanks.